Sure hope this punch comes out.
A little spring wash and it'll come out just like that.
I'm just too clumsy for it. Every shirt I've got stains with this, that, or whatever.
You ought to wear your smock and roll.
Honey, it's my policy to never, ever bring my work home with me. I don't even cut my hair at home, just as I'm sure you don't. Well, with you being a poet and all, I bet you have to work at home.
To be honest, I write everywhere.
Will the library be getting a copy of your next volume, Melodine?
It's first on the list.
So, Gloria, if you want to keep your clothes clean, just try to be a little neater.
You said a mouthful, Edna.
I really wish you wouldn't call me honey.
Sorry, you told me that last time we got together, and here I am doing it again. Old habits die hard.
Speaking of dying,
What's wrong, Val, honey?
The Baileys back down on the sale. Weren't they buying that big house in Sherwood Forest? Sherwood Glen. And not a big house, the big house.
your $1 million baby
God.
probably didn't get the loan. I can't believe how many people overextend themselves these days. Nothing's sensible anymore. Everything's for show.
They didn't overextend themselves. They found a bigger house in Notting Hill Estate.
I rest my case.
If I could get my hands on them, I
Bow, honey. Don't say anything you'd be sorry for later.
well, I would.
You just sit down, dear, and remember, tomorrow is another day.
Thank you, Scarlett.
Huh?
That line's from Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. Margaret Mitchell, 1936.
Oh, yeah, before my time. Anywho, maybe we ought to get back to discussing who slew the shrew.
I still can't see why you picked this book for us, Gloria.
I thought it'd be fun.
I thought it was the scream. I loved the way she tried to get rid of her boss.
Silly, unbelievable melodrama.
Unbelievable. You don't think somebody might want to get rid of her boss, do you?
Usually it's the other way around.
I mean, get rid of.
Hardly appropriate for the Alcott Little Women's Book Club.
Oh, Ed, now we don't always have to read the classics.
There's nothing wrong with the classics.
Of course not. Even Oprah reads them. But it's also fun to branch out. And if you didn't like Who Slew the Shrew, you're going to hate the book I chose for next month.
I can't wait. What'd you pick?
Anybody hungry?
Oh, Teresa, you're going to force 5 pounds on salt. Ooh, what is it this time? Tiramisu? Cannoli?
Cookies.
My mother's special recipes.
Oh, they look wonderful.
And the best part, they're all fat-free.
I move Teresa brings us snacks every time we meet.
I second Logan. We don't even have to ask who slew the shrew. She died of clogged arteries.
Did you honestly hate the book, Edna, honey?
Oh, Gloria, it's just not my type of book.
Well, then it broadens our horizons. Well said, honey.
My horizons are broad enough.
Who are you kidding, Edna? You were born at Alcott, went to school at Alcott College, and taught 200 years at Alcott High.
200 years. Why, Val Lawson, I'd put you in another detention if I could. Well, I would.
What would I do without you badgering me all of these years about my comma fault? I've never been able to write a decent contract.
Maybe I shouldn't have cut class so often.
Maybe you'd be a CEO by now.
I am a CEO of Waves of Glory Beauty Salon.
I meant a rich CEO.
Who needs rich? I've got Freddie.
Are you ever going to marry him?
Soon as he asks me.
You just have to light a fire under him.
Honey, I've tried everything but charcoal and lighter fluid. He's still happy to just come over, sit on the couch, and watch TV with me.
Sounds like you're married already.
Oh, yes, Mr. Bailey, good luck. Oh, really? I didn't know that. 15 minutes? Okay, I'll see you then. Thank you. Your $1 million baby has been resuscitated? And how? They found out that the new house in a different township, the property taxes are twice as high.
Sanity wins out.
I've got to run. I get them to sign on the dotted line before they change their minds again. What are we reading next time, Margo? Sherlock and Me, How to Solve Any Crime. It'll get your brain right.
Who's it by?
Someone named Culpepper. Oh, silly me. It's by I See All. I See All. Now, isn't that just the funniest
Margot. Next you'll have us reading cookbooks.
I think that might be fun.
Sounds like Sherlock will get us to exercise our minds a bit.
It certainly will. And I will also show you how to solve a crime that happened a long time ago.
Deja vu.
Again, honey.
Except poor Margot.
Hard to believe, just last month she was sitting over there.
She said something about my $1 million baby being resuscitated. If only they could have...
Oh, honey, I'm sure they did all they could. She fell down a heck of a lot of stairs.
I've always hated that stairway.
Saves a very long walk around the hill. One just has to be careful. Very careful.
I know, but it gets so dangerous when it's icy out.
There wasn't any ice that night.
It was almost balmy. Mr. Bailey didn't even have a jacket on whenever we went to go visit the house again.
They did buy it then?
Yeah, but when I heard about Margot, well,
It didn't seem quite as important, did it?
I'm just sorry the funeral was so far away.
Well, she just moved here from New York, so it stood to reason that her family would want her back where she came from.
I know, but none of us was able to go.
And she was part of our club.
We sent flowers.
That's right. And I wrote her family a real nice letter telling them all about how Margot liked to read and discuss.
Did they write you back?
You know something funny? The letter was returned to me labeled no such address. I'm sure it had been the one Margot had written down for me one time.
Well, at least you tried, Gloria.
Did the flowers get delivered?
I had them sent to a funeral home in Brooklyn.
I'm sure you picked out some real nice ones, honey. I mean, Edna.
Lilies and chrysanthemums. Appropriately funeral-like.
Al sent me those on our first wedding anniversary. I should have known then that Mary was in trouble.
Now, since we're all here and this is the Alcott Little Women's Book Club, did anybody read Margot's selection for this month?
Oh, Gloria, honestly, how can you bring that book up now?
It's our book of the month.
It's insensitive of you.
But there wasn't a crime involving Margot. Was there?
Of course not.
It said it was an accident in the papers.
She tripped and fell.
It was easy to do with the shoes she was wearing.
And if she was carrying anything?
She had her purse, that's all. And she left the book here, so it couldn't have been too heavy. It was just an accident. A terrible, tragic accident.
We all sound real sure about that.
Gloria, what's this about?
I didn't like it when I got that letter I sent to her family back. I didn't like it one bit.
It happens. Maybe you got the wrong address.
That's what I thought, but I looked in my address book and I had taped in the one Margot had written down for me.
Why'd you have her family's address anyways?
I knew she didn't have anybody close in town, so I asked her for it one day. You know, just in case somebody needed to get in touch with her family.
That is so ghoulish.
Practical, if you ask me. Anywho, she wrote it down and I taped it right into my address book. No point in copying it over.
All right, so what does this all mean?
I got to thinking as I paged through this here book. Margot didn't want to read it just as much as she wanted to solve some kind of crime.
You've seen too many movies, my dear.
Margot picked this book.
You know, Gloria, you're pretty edgy tonight.
I know, I'm sorry. I just couldn't help remembering Margot's last words to the group. And next meeting, I'll show you just what I mean about solving some kind of crime. Even one that happened a long time ago.
This is silly. It was just a what?
Metaphor.
Thank you.
I think she meant exactly what she said. No metaphor intended.
Then she would have gone to the police.
Unless it involved one of us.
Us? My only crime is burning the biscotti once in a while.
I've never even done that.
I thought so too. Until I went to New York.
You went to New York?
I twisted Freddie's arm and he drove me. It was that week that we were closed.
I thought you were having your
I lied. I just threw down some new rugs and nobody noticed.
What'd you do in New York?
Walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. My, that was a beautiful sight. And then we went to South Street Seaport so Freddie could go on one of those ships with all the sails. And we went to Chinatown and I got to have real wonton soup. I even got to see Radio City Music Hall.
Gloria, what about Margot?
Oh, right. I went to the address Margot had given me.
And
It was a detective agency. The Sloan Detective Agency on East 4th Street. That's in Manhattan. Margot was a detective. She was working a case right here in Alcott.
oh my goodness.
At least this is where it led. I talked to Mr. Sloan himself, but he wouldn't tell me much at all. He just said that since her death was listed as an accident, he couldn't tell me much. He wanted to protect her family, you see.
So you think that's what she meant about solving a crime at this meeting?
I know that's what she meant. Now in chapter 1 of the book,
Gloria, you're not serious.
dead serious, Edna. In chapter 1 of the book, the author talks about motive. Whoever pushed Margot down the stairs had a reason for doing it.
Listen, I'm not sitting here and listening to this anymore. I have to call the Baileys and see what's going on with the sale.
Oh yeah, Mr. Bailey called. He said they can't meet tonight. Your cell must be dead.
That's ridiculous. My cell is never dead. Everything.
Now I got to thinking, why would anybody want to kill Margot? Now knowing she's a detective, there's one big reason. To keep her from talking. Someone must have hired her to find something out, and she must have found it out, and whoever it was about knew she found it out.
Gloria, that's just a book. It's probably all fiction. And your imagination's running overtime here.
Really, this is crazy. I hope you don't think one of us would do such a thing to Margot.
I think Margot's clues were pointing right to somebody in this room. Problem is, which one?
I don't believe this. I don't believe this one bit.
You've been sniffing those hairdressing fumes for too many years, kiddo. Your brain's going fuzzy.
Ever since I went to New York, I wish I hadn't gone. I mean, seeing Times Square was great. But I realized just how much I don't know about some of the people I'm closest to.
You know something else too, don't you?
Of course I do. Why would I bring all this up if I didn't know something?
So then, what is it?
When I got done talking to Mr. Sloan, I walked into the waiting room because Freddie was sitting there reading Car and Driver magazine. And I looked at the cover and there was an article on some NASCAR driver named Sammy Salt.
Gloria, what's your point?
I'm getting to that.
I don't even know a Sammy Salt, so I never said.
Oh, nothing happened to Sammy Salt. His last name just jogged this old brain of mine.
Can you jog it a bit faster? I got casada cake in the refrigerator.
It'll keep.
My appetite won't.
All right, all right. Salt got me thinking about Pepper.
You got that from your therapist, didn't you? Word association?
Let her finish, or we'll never get to that cake, Val.
Thank you, Willadine. At least somebody here has manners. So where was I?
Salt and pepper.
Oh, right. When Margot first showed us this book, said it was by somebody named Culpepper. Now, that could have been a mistake, just an honest mistake. But who would ever forget a name like I.C. All? So I turned to the receptionist,
What receptionist?
the one at the detective agency.
Oh, we're still in the waiting room. Waiting, waiting, waiting.
So I turned to the receptionist and I said, I'm so glad we stopped. Ms. Culpepper will be relieved after I talk to her. And the receptionist smiled a bit, and she said, it sure has been hard on her and the rest of JJ's family after all these years. They sure are pinning their hopes on us. Well, the sirens and whistles went off.
The building caught fire?
In my head. So I dragged Freddie to the New York Public Library, and my goodness, I've never seen so many books in all my born days.
What could you learn in the library?
Chapter 2 of the book talks about doing the research. So all I had to do was tell the nice library people the name Culpepper, and they brought me all of this stuff out on a fellow named J.J. Culpepper.
And who, pray tell, is this J.J. Culpepper?
Was Edna. He's a was.
Who was he?
A gazillionaire. Well, at least a millionaire, with assets here, there, and everywhere.
Never bought a cannoli from me.
And won't. He's dead. And guess how he died? He was pushed down a long flight of stairs. His death was listed as an accident, but the coroner found a bruise on his right shoulder blade, and the family thinks he was pushed. They hired one detective after another until Margot.
Hold it, hold it. Do you know what you're saying, my dear?
Of course I do. Margot found J.J. Culpepper's killer right here in this room, and she's sitting here right now.
That's ridiculous.
One of us?
You're making quite a leap here, Gloria.
I wish I was, but facts are facts.
What facts?
Well, there's Margot and JJ. They were killed the same way. And she blurted out the name Culpepper. She even made that comment about wanting to get rid of her boss.
Did she say that?
Oh yeah, Gloria. You were in the kitchen getting the cookies. But her and Edna had quite a discussion about that.
I still say nonsense.
But it isn't. J.J. Culpepper had a secretary named Blanche Devereaux. In his will, he left her $1 million. Well, the day he died, he fired Blanche, and before he got a chance to change his will, he died. So Blanche got her $1 million and then disappeared.
That doesn't mean she murdered him.
Well, apparently Blanche had been giving quite a bit of money out of JJ in petty cash. And you can bet that his petty cash wasn't just enough money to buy a few candy bars.
So you think one of us is this Blanche Devereaux?
It's not me. I'm Gloria Gamble, soon to be Schwartz.
Freddie proposed?
Right on top of the Empire State Building.
Just like Sleepless in Seattle.
Congratulations, Gloria. Freddie's just like a tuna, and I knew you'd hook him eventually.
When's the wedding?
Well, it's not going to be anything big, except one of you won't be able to attend.
Oh, Gloria, stop it right now.
Who's this Blanche lady?
I talked to the Culpeppers, and they were so sweet about everything, especially Margot. They're even donating $5,000 in the scholarship name we had set up in her. But anyway, they said that Blanche has a tattoo of a pit bull on her left shoulder in honor of her dog Spike, who bit 3 people and had to be put down. Ladies, let's see the back of your shoulders.
You really think I'm going to have a tattoo?
Humor me, honey.
There. Satisfied?
I'd never get a tattoo either. Hurts too much. Just a couple of freckles, right?
I hate dogs, but I do have a rose.
Isn't that cute?
Willadine, will you please prove Gloria's way off point so we can get on with dessert?
Willadine, you moved to town 7 years ago, didn't you? Right after you got your $1 million. Margot's clues were pointed directly at you. She was just trying to flush you out, but you followed her that night and you pushed her down the stairs, didn't you?
Willadine? That's ridiculous. She's a poet.
Really? I have never been so insulted, Gloria.
Well, they did find an earring at the scene of the crime. Just one.
So?
It was one of yours. You wore them that night.
So? I walk that way sometimes. It must have fallen out of my ear on accident.
It was in Margot's hand.
Here's a great cake, Teresa.
Thank you, officer.
Chapter 4 of the book talks about getting the police involved. Did you get all that, Sandra?
And more. Margot left the key notes open, but I don't have anything about it here, Gloria.
Oh yeah, that was in chapter 5. If all else fails, lay a trap.
You don't have anything! You can't prove I did a thing!
But we're sure going to try. Thanks for the cake.
If you want to join the Little Women's Book Club, Sandra, just let me know. We had the best snacks in town.
I'll think about it. What are you reading next?
Teresa?
A cookbook. Recipes to die for.